answer?
8.
It's 8. Now, I'm not sure how you did this, but you might have wrote that 2 teaspoons, or maybe you didn't write anything, in 6 hours. If you're going to 24 hours, that means you're multiplying by 4, so that's 8 teaspoons.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really classify this as like a math question. Like this is almost just a like a multiplication question, or there's no formulas. There's no like you don't need like the quadratic formula. You don't need to know how to factor. You don't need inequalities. You don't need any of that, right?
Yeah.
So you solved your very first SAT question. So well done. Okay. And what you will see though in the test are a lot of word problems. Okay. And there's some techniques we can use to solve these, which will help you become faster at this. Okay. But there are questions on there that are more like what you've been seeing in the classroom. Okay.
Got it.
So here's a question. If x plus 3 equals 2x minus 2, what is the value of x minus 4? So notice it's not actually asking for x, it's asking for x minus 4, which means you can solve for x, which might be in here. Okay. Like if you were to solve this equation for x plus 3 equals 2x minus 2. If you subtract x from both sides, add 2 to both sides, 5 equals x. 5 is wrong. Like 5 is x, but that's not what they're asking for. What are they asking for?
They're asking for what x is when you replace it with -4.
When you subtract 4 from it.
When you subtract 4 from it.
Yeah, so I bet you've never seen a question in your math classes where you get x, but then they're like, no, I don't want x. I want x minus 4.
Yeah.
It's a little weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why wouldn't they just ask for x? Well, these are standardized test questions. They're never they're not like what you're used to seeing in the classroom. Okay, so for a lot of students, it's a tough transition because you're like, wait, I don't have to show my work. I don't have to find x. Yeah, you can actually solve this problem in a completely different way. Let me show you that here. Okay, we want the value of x minus 4. Okay, so I know this is weird, but we're actually going to solve this equation for x minus 4. So let me rewrite it. I will subtract x from both sides. Okay. 3 equals x minus 2. I want x minus 4 though. So how do I do that? How do I get minus 4 on the right? I'm going to subtract 2 from the left and the right. On the right, it's x minus 4. On the left, it's 1.
Right.
Okay, which still is x equals 5 minus 4 is 1. They're about the same in terms of how you solve in terms of speed, but you avoid getting the wrong answer when you solve it this way. So there's all these techniques you can use for answering questions. Now you've not taken geometry. That's right. You're still in algebra.
Yeah, I take it next year. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Here is another question that you might see on a standardized test. Okay. So there are both what are called multiple choice and then free response questions.
Right.
Multiple choice, some students say, hey, I prefer multiple choice, A, B, C, D, E. If you're taking the ACT, free response, you got to get a number. They're really the same. I mean, I can make this a multiple choice question just as easily as, this one right here. We could have had it without the answers. So
yeah,
you have to be able to do both. Okay. This is a really complicated way of asking you to determine the slope of this line. Okay, and if you start here and you go to this point here, if you're using rise over run, what is the slope of this line?
2 over 1.
2 over 1. Or just 2. Good. All right, let me grab another question here. All right. There are problems that you will see which appear to require a calculator. We kind of talked about that earlier as one of the misconceptions. This is one of them. Okay. A random sample of 50 people from a town with a population of 14,878 were asked to name their favorite flavor of ice cream. If 7 people in the sample named chocolate as their favorite ice cream flavor, about how many people in the town would be expected to name chocolate? Now notice that like these are kind of nice numbers. They all end in 0. They're whole numbers. This one like gives the appearance that there's a calculator involved, but you will find that you probably can do it with some estimations. That's another kind of one of those
Yeah.
like things like where you think, okay, let me go grab the calculator. You could do that. It also could slow you down. You'll also see here in this problem that there's a lot of space between each answer,
Mhm.
which means you don't actually have to be that accurate to get the right answer here. Okay. So 7 out of 50 chose chocolate. Are you a chocolate ice cream person?
Ice cream.
Is chocolate your favorite ice cream?
No, no, no.
No. What's your favorite?
Probably something sweet. Like just strawberry ice cream or sherbet.
Good. Yeah. Back in the old days, there's only 3 flavors: vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry. So now there's everything, right? You go to, go get some Ben and Jerry's or what's the other one? Haagen-Dazs. I mean, geez, you
Yeah.
get unlimited
Mhm.
varieties. All right. So 7 out of 50. 7 out of 50, if you were to convert this to a percentage, you can multiply by 2 and by 2, so that's 14 over 100. So that's 14%. Maybe you can consider that 15% ish, right? And we now want 15% of 14,878, which is really kind of like 15,000, we could say. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, yeah.
What is 10% of 15,000? Do you remember how to do that? You just slide the decimal over
Slide it over 2 times.
just one time to the left.
1,500.
1,500, and then 5% is half that. What's half of 1,500? Roughly
850.
750.
750.
Okay. So which is the only answer that's even close to this?
B.
B. Now I know you can go to a calculator and you can maybe do this, even faster than this, but the point is like if you were able to manipulate the numbers quickly, you could get the answer and you don't need a calculator.
Yeah.
It can actually slow you down in some cases because you're looking for something. You're looking for something that you don't need to do. I mean, these problems are designed to be done in like a minute. They're not designed to be very complicated. And that's one of the misconceptions, like you think you need to do a lot of math to be able to answer them. Okay, so here is another question here. Sometimes you have questions that look really, 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 really complicated, and they're not. Like this is one of those like, oh my gosh, it's an impossible question. Maybe, I mean, maybe it's really hard, but like you gotta try to figure out like what is he even asking. So the first thing is you generally don't look at the figures. You go over right like what is it asking? It's okay, and then you go back to the figure. It says of the labeled points, which represents the animal for which the ratio of life expectancy to gestation period is greatest. Okay, now we go back to the graph. And they're asking about the points. They're asking about the points A, B, C, and D. Okay. They're asking about the ratio of life expectancy to gestation period. Okay, so let me do it for A here. A's got like a life expectancy of 7 to 21. So maybe like 1/3.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. B is 40, I don't know, 44 on the gestation period, 8 up there. So it's like 8 to 44. Notice all I'm doing here is grabbing the ordered pairs here. Like I'm not doing any sophisticated math. I mean, the flipping the inequalities like we've been doing and ors, like they're way more complicated than this. All right. C is 8 to 52 maybe, and D is 10 to 51.
So D is the correct answer.
Well, we got to be careful. It says for which the ratio is greatest. Like we need to know what that means. Like is the ratio, is 1/3 compared to this last one, we'll call it 1/5, like which is greater? And it's actually 1/3 is greater. This is not written well, so it's like, do they mean like the larger to the smaller or the smaller to the larger? That's a side point. Like it wouldn't, these are not actual questions. They're from books and stuff that I've looked at over the years. So sometimes you don't get a great question like that. But the idea here is like, there is no, even though this might have looked really complicated, you're just labeling points, finding points on there.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of an introduction to SAT. So let's look at some stuff that you've been doing.
All right.
And let's take a look. I've got oh, this is perfect. This is perfect. All right. So sometimes what I do here is I don't give you the full question. I just give you kind of the starting point here. Do you have a notebook, pencil and paper, something to work with today? Okay. All right. So I want you to look at this question here. It says, which of the following ordered pairs satisfies the inequality? They're giving you an X and a Y, X and a Y, X and a Y. You have to decide if each of these are true or false. So I'd like you to do that for me, please.
I'm lost between.
Well, more than one might be true. Sorry, I'm just
Okay.
asking you to tell me each one, true or false for each one. Like, does it work for the first one?
Yeah.
This one is true.
Yeah. I want
Okay.
to.
How about the second one?
Hold up. Give me 1 sec. That one's false.
Okay, so 5 times 2 minus 3 times 5. What is 5 times 2 minus 3 times 5? What does this become? 10 minus 15. What is that?
Minus 15. Oh wait,
10.
no, that's true.
That's true. Yeah.
This one's false.
5 times 3 minus 3 times 2. Yeah, this one does not work. Okay, now here's the full question. Okay. Full question, put this in front of you. All right. So you said true, true, and false. Which is the correct answer? A, B, C, or D?
Wait, it's saying, C.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Okay. That's a tough one. I mean, that's one where it's like, like, what do I do here? You did that really well. Okay. Notice though, like you initially said 2 was false. And if you only thought 1 was true, you would have put A.
Yeah.
So this is and you would have felt like, hey, I got it. I got it right.
Yeah.
I didn't get it right. All right, let's look at another one here. And by the way, is it okay that we keep working on these, or do you want us to move on to something else?
No, this is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so new question for you to focus on. Which of the following ordered pairs satisfies the inequality above? Okay, now the way this is written, there's only one of these that will work, which means that there's one correct. I'm just stating the obvious here. One correct and 3 that are wrong. Okay, so what you should do here is find the one that's correct. But one other way to do it is I'm looking for the 3 that are wrong, and if the one that's remaining is the correct one. But totally up to you how you do this. You do have to put these numbers in here and let me know which one is
Which one's correct?
yes.
Wait, so for example, like for 0, 3, would I just replace that for the y and the x?
Yes. Is this true? Basically
Yeah.
trying to decide, is that true or not? And we've been doing a ton of that. You just haven't had to put them in for y and x.
D.
B,
D.
D. And how confident are you on your answer?
Confident.
Okay. Let's take a look here. So 0, is that less than 6 minus 4? Is 0 less than 2? Yes, that is correct. Are you surprised that the answer is in position D, the correct answer?
No.
No, it
No,
says, go ahead. Yeah, give me some more feedback on that.
I get a lot of like questions, and I pick D a lot. I find that some of my answers are in D.
So if you were to guess on a which of the following, should you guess D or A more often?
A.
Why A? Because you said D is often, like, why would you guess? What would make sense as more of a guess? The first one or the last one? Like, give me some reason, some logic behind that.
A lot of people put down the first one because they think you'll just fly by it.
Okay, so A is the most common wrong answer. We'll
It's the
say that.
most common wrong answer.
Yeah, like it's one student will put down and they think they're right and it's wrong. And you'll see, we'll talk about why that is at some point down the road. what I was trying to get you to say or see is that, let's say you and I are writing a test and we wanted the students to take as long as possible. Okay. That means they're going to check A, they're going to check B, they're going to check C, and then the correct answer will be in D, because that takes the most time, right? It
Yeah.
also requires you to go through every single one. And there's fatigue that sets in, right? You know the difference between pitching a batter where you've got, you throw first pitch, he lines out to short, or whatever, he does something silly,
Yeah.
versus the guy that's in there, it's 10, 12 pitches, and you got a guy in first. It's very stressful, right?
Yeah.
So that's what's going on here, is like you almost want to start from the bottom up when you see a which of the following. Okay. But does that always work? No. Like, none of these strategies always work. But these are just things to think about. These are like, okay, how do I feel going into this thing? Do I want to try some of these strategies? Do I not? The more you prepare, the better you'll chances of success. Okay. But these are just little things that you'll pick up the more problems you do practicing. Okay, so let's look at like one more inequality question, and we'll move on to a different topic. I like to do a couple of topics in the lessons here. So now this time I'm just going to show you the answers, and we're going to build a table. So here's the first point that we are going to check. 0, 2. I want to know which one this works in, and it might be more than one.
And put in 0, 2 for this.
Yeah, for each one of these, and tell me, we're going to put some check marks here and see which one works. You can tell me your answers also as you go, or if you're not sure, I can.
Okay, I have them.
Okay. So does it work for A?
No.
It does not work. So real quickly, in case you want to look back later, 2 less than or equal to -1/2 times 0 plus 2. Is 2 less than or equal to 2?
It's equal to.
Yes, this one does work. So this would be a check.
This one does work.
It does work, because what you're doing here, when you're putting 0 in for X, all of the X terms go away. Like -1/2 times 0 is 0.
Yeah.
So you're basically comparing, is 2 less than or equal to 2? Is 2 greater than or equal to 2? Yes. Is 2 less than or equal to 4? Yes. Is 2 greater than or equal to 4? No.
No.
Okay. Now the problem goes on here. Oh, darn it. Sorry, I didn't have the point up. The next ordered pair here to try is, okay, 4, 0. Now, since it did not work in the fourth one, you don't have to try that one. You just have to try these. So let's do the first one together here. Is 0 less than or equal to -1/2 times 4 plus 2? Okay, so you have to multiply first. -1/2 times 4 is -2, plus 2 is 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 0?
Equal.
Yeah, so it does work. So go ahead and try it for the next two. Let me know.
B works too.
Okay.
C doesn't.
C does not. That's right. Okay. So notice how we went from 3 correct answers to 2 correct answers. So if you were going to guess, and we don't want to guess here, you rather than guessing with 4 answers, you now would be guessing between 2 answers. Okay. So that's a better place to be, right? So let's just look at the first 2 now. I'm going to snip those in again. Like I said, this will be our last inequality and we'll move on to something else. Let's look at the last ordered pair here of 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay. Now keep in mind, you only have to try it in 1, because if it works in 1, then obviously that's correct. But if it doesn't work, then the other one is correct. So you don't have to try them both. Just pick the one you like better to try it in.
We'll go A.
Okay.
I have 1 is less than 1/1/2, or 1 is greater than.
Less than. We'll read it left to right. 1 is this true? Is 1 less than or equal to 1.5?
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yes. So that's your correct answer. Good. Really good. So this one took a long time to do, and I didn't put in the question, but basically you have to test 3 points, and this one has a lot involved. So this is where, like, say 2 years from now, your speed will be a lot faster than it is today, which is something to consider here. Okay, let's look at some easier stuff here. You've been doing absolute value problems. So there are problems on the SAT that are actually just like what you see in the classroom. They're just phrased in the form of multiple choice. So you would see a problem like this where it says to solve. Like you would see in the classroom, solve, right? And you'd get 2 answers. This one only wants the positive solution. Okay, now notice they're all positive, but what that means is, like, there's more than one solution. They only want the positive one. If you didn't know how to solve it, you could always try the answers. Okay.
You know, yeah.
but it is good to know how to solve this. Now, just as a review here, you set this equal to 8 and equal to -8. You solve by adding 4 to both sides. Same thing over here on the right. 2x equals 12, 2x equals -4, divide by 2, divide by 2, x is 6, x is -2. So sometimes there are problems where you literally just solve the equation. Okay.
Got it.
But that's kind of the exception. There's always kind of a little wrinkle, a little wart, something like that to it.
Yep.
So here's one to look at. This one says, what is the sum of the solutions? That means you have to solve it and add the two solutions together.
Of the case
Absolute.
one and case two.
Yeah, so you first need to subtract 4 from both sides. Absolute value 2x plus 6 equals 4. I want you to solve both cases and then add up the solutions, please.
Right. A,
Okay, what are the two solutions that you came up with?
-1 and -5.
-1 and -5. Yes. Very good. Now, one of the nice things about this problem is, like, notice that -1 isn't there and -5 isn't there. So you wouldn't necessarily, you wouldn't have that tendency to like check an answer that was wrong because you saw the number. And you correctly added these together. So that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. It might feel like I'm asking you to do the same thing over and over again. These questions that I've got are grouped kind of by type, so that we do a bunch of the same ones to get familiar with some of the math concepts here. Could you just verbally tell me the answers here? Or do you need to work this out? It's okay if you need to work it out. I'm just asking because you did the last one so well.
X equals 7.
-7.
-7.
And what's the other one?
Hold on. X equals -9.
+9. Positive. So x minus 1 equals 8. Let me do it over here. X minus 1 equals -8. Add 1, add 1. X equals 9. Add 1, add 1. X equals -7.
Let's see.
Now keep that in mind as you are answering this question. And try to take a full minute here to like look at it without just giving me an answer. It's a little bit deceptive, so. All right. Just talk this one out for me. Where are you kind of leaning and why?
I mean, what do you really like? Okay, so what is a possible value of x minus 1?
So first of all, notice that it's not asking you for X,
Yeah,
which is weird, but we've kind of already covered that. Yeah. Any other thoughts here? Anything else kind of jump out to you?
no, I didn't really know where to go with this one.
Okay. So you've already solved it though. You already told me that X is -7 and X is 9. And notice none of those are there.
Mhm.
What is -7 minus 1? What is 9 minus 1?
-8 and 8.
Are either of those there?
Yes.
Yes. So the correct answer is A. This is a very simple way of asking you, when you break this apart, you get X minus 1 equals 8, X minus 1 equals -8. It's asking for X minus 1. X minus 1 is 8. X minus 1 is -8. That's your answer.
Right.
You
I
don't
guess
actually have to solve this.
it's more of like combining it.
Yeah, and it's kind of a mind, it messes with you. It's like, wait, I don't have to solve it. No, not really.
Yeah.
Um, all right. All right. Have you done graphing with absolute values? I can't recall.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me kind of preface this question. So here's an absolute value graph. Here's an absolute value graph, and here's an absolute value graph. Here's a line, here's a line, and here's a line. The first one has no solutions. The second one has one solution. And the third one here has two solutions. Why does this first one have no solution?
Because no line is actually going through it or touching it. There's no other points.
Great. And why does this one in the middle have one?
Because there's only one point touching.
And so similarly, this means that this has two
Yeah.
places. Okay. Second thing to think about, what is the absolute value of 5?
5.
5. What's the absolute value of -5?
+5.
You're like, why is he asking me this? Does absolute value always return positive?
Yes.
It does, except in the
Yes.
case of 0. The absolute value
Yeah.
is 0, but for the most part, it returns positive.
Right.
So I want you to look at this. Is it possible for the absolute value of x plus 7 to equal a negative number?
Yes, for sure.
But you just said absolute value always returns positive. Can the absolute value return a negative number?
No, or can it?
No. You seem uncertain, but and I was trying to get you to. So okay, so here's what this is graphically. Do these intersect?
Yeah, no.
No. The absolute value never returns a negative number. Never does. Okay, so the actual question here, and this is why you have to know the stuff that you've been learning in the classroom, is this. How many solutions does the equation absolute value x plus 7 equals -4 have? What is your answer? Let me ask it to you another way. Do these intersect?
0.
0, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, 0.
Okay. Awesome. Let me see if there's anything else real quick we can do. All right, this will be the last question we look at.
Right.
There's only kind of so much of this standardized testing anyone can take. And I get it. It's not great. All right. Which of the following expressions is equal to 0 for some value of x? All right. Now, before you answer this question, I want you to look at the 4 answers, and I want you to tell me some things that you see that are the same or different. And anything you want to give me, I'll take.
In D, or in A and D, the absolute value part's the same.
Good. I like that's true. So you could say like A and D absolute value part. Good.
B, C, and D all have +1 outside of the absolute value.
Okay. So that means A is -1 kind of by default. Yep. That's good. Anything else jump at you?
B is the only plus in absolute value.
Okay. That's kind of an interesting thing there. Good.
Aside from that, I think that's it.
Okay, good. No, that's really good. Being able to recognize similarities and differences is a really important part of doing well in this. So here is how you answer this question, and I'll do that right down here. Close out our lesson here. So all 4 of these absolute values, they all open up. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
They normally start at the x-axis, but
Mhm.
this thing on the right here is the vertical shift. So the A is the only one that shifts it down. B, C, and D all shift it up. So do you see how A now hits the x-axis, the blue,
Yeah,
but the red does not?
I do.
So you could almost answer this question by just saying A is really different. Do we want to do that? No, we want to have a better, way of doing it, but that is, some
But
things to
A
think
is
about.
the
A is the correct answer.
okay.
Yes.
Good.
All right. Thank you. Let me stop the recording here.